Welcome into the 90 plus 2 podcast. I'm Sammy St.Jean. That is Jeremy Strano. And this is the crossroads between pundits and fans. We are aspiring soccer journalists who have a love for the game. And this is our starting point. And we are at episode 10. Finally made it to double digits.
10.
We did it.
10.
We made it. So the thing that we're going to change here is that since it's kind of coinciding with the end of the season for a couple different leagues, 2 match weeks left, 1 match week left, we're going to do a quick little awards kind of ceremony in the middle of the show. We call them the twosies. Get it? 90 plus 2 twosies. So we're going with that. Shout out to Michael Villegas for the help making the choice on that one. But all right, let's jump into it. Let's not waste any time. Let's fill up the show with a lot of content and have some
ask me
fun.
How I'm doing?
No one cares. No, I'm just kidding. How are you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing I'm doing okay, Sammy. I'm doing just dandy after
I feel like you're better than okay.
Oh, we're a lot better than okay.
That's the real reason I didn't ask, is because we were going to get to the reason why I know you're in a good mood.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we're about to get there. We're in the Premier League to start. It's going into the final match week now after a certain match today that made Jeremy very happy wrapped up. City's locked in at the 1. Arsenal's locked in the 2. Newcastle could be 3-4. Man United could be 3-4. But both of those teams have locked up the Champions League for next season. Liverpool locked into the 5 spot. Brighton are 6th. And Villa are 7th. But they need to win because a draw or loss hurts them only if Spurs win. So praying. So the interesting thing there also is they have the same goal differential. Spurs and Villa have the same goal differential. So if they end up tied on points, so that would be a Villa loss, Spurs draw. Could be pretty interesting to see how goal differential, because the goal differential will stay tied. Actually, no, the goal differential will go Tottenham's way. So that I guess as long as Tottenham win or draw, a loss from Villa just immediately eliminates them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I am just going to be, I don't even know if I'm going to watch the Spurs game. I'm just going to watch the Villa game instead. Just out of just stress, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
to be fair, Tottenham are terrible to watch play soccer. They're just not a fun team to watch at all. In just being very self-reflective and honest. But the more interesting thing in probably everyone else's eyes is the relegation battle. So Nottingham Forest currently are safe for now. But actually, I think they're all clear. No, they're all clear. 16th, they're all clear. Everton hold their own destiny with a win. A draw puts them down if either Leicester or Leeds win. Both are currently on 31 points, Everton on 33 points, and Southampton has been relegated. So, Mr. Jeremy, from the past week of results, what do you care about? And from the weekend coming up, what do you care about?
So, obviously, I'm going to start with praising the boys in red. Honestly, they did not play well today in the first half. This game could have gone either way, but Chelsea are just so bad.
They can't score.
They can't. And I feel bad Joao Felix did score a great goal, but it was already 4-0 at that point. It was like the 88th, 89th.
It was the first goal Man U's given up at Old Trafford in 11 hours of game time.
That's incredible. And you wouldn't think that Man U would produce like a stat like that, just because like they have been – I don't want to say inconsistent. I think this has been a great year.
They've been good at home, though.
Good at home.
Very consistent at home.
Unbeaten in 29, I think it is now, or 30.
They struggled on the road, but at home they've been fantastic.
No, yeah, they're a great home team, one of the best in the Prem. You can put us up there with City and Arsenal and whoever, but I love the way they play in front of Old Trafford. It's a great time. Speaking of 30, Rashford scores 30th of the season, which is pretty cool. So Erik ten Hag, a job well done in his first year. He qualifies for Champions League, wins the League Cup, and is a finalist in the FA. I'm not really certain that they're going to win and defeat City for the FA, but who knows? I'll still watch it. But obviously, I think the main objective right now, you're focusing on Tottenham and Villa and whatever spot they're going to finish in, for European football. To me, it's the relegation battle, because if Everton go down, this could be a monumental collapse in Premier League football. In all the years of myself being a fan, I was a fan a little bit before you were. You kind of came in around the COVID era. But in the 2010s and the mid-10s, 15-ish, like when I was in high school, middle school, high school, Everton was always a team that you saw competing for Europa League, not so much Champions League, but they were always in the middle of the pack. They would always play spoiler to one of those big clubs like Chelsea or Man City or United or even Liverpool. Like the Merseyside Derby is one of the most intense derbies in all of the Prem, in all of the United Kingdom. I would put it up there with, Old Firm and the Manchester Derby, or honestly, I prefer Man U Liverpool. But if Everton do go down, this is going to be a story that we're going to talk about a lot, during the summer. And how do they adjust to championship play? Now, you do mention that they do control their own destiny, so they need to win. They play a team in Bournemouth that I think they can beat. I think Bournemouth
beat this team. No.
Right. I mean, who knows?
Not that means anything, but
is the game at Goodison Park?
I actually do not know.
I think it is. I think it is because I was listening today. The NBC Sports Peacock panel, they're going to be live from Goodison Park, so I would assume that the game is home.
I actually kind of like that choice.
For them. I like it. The league's already locked up. Top four is already locked up. Like, you're not going to go to you're not going to go to Manchester for Man U Fulham. I'd rather go to Everton, because if Everton, again, if they drop to 18, monumental. And
if they drop, I wouldn't want to be at Goodison Park though.
No. Ooh, that's actually a really good point, because it could get ugly. But I think they're going to be okay. I think they are. I think it'll be Leicester going down and Leeds, unfortunately, for my Americans that are over there, or our Americans, I should say. They're not just mine.
Well, they're not mine this weekend because they play Tottenham, but I own them every other day. I claim them. Yeah. The other, I did want to say Chelsea Newcastle would have been an interesting venue for that. It's still Chelsea Newcastle. Like, I understand that nothing's really on the line, but you're still going to tune in and watch Chelsea Newcastle. It's just what it is.
I think if Newcastle hadn't locked up, like, say if Man U were a little far ahead in third place, and say it was Liverpool and Newcastle fighting for that fourth Champions League spot, maybe it would have gone there. But because the top four is locked up and Liverpool have locked up Europa League now, I don't know when that decision was made. I'm sure they had different locations on standby, but if this will be monumental. I'm going to keep saying the word monumental, because it's going to be scenes if Everton do drop to the championship, and they will be hurt big time.
Yeah, that's true. The only thing in terms of results I wanted to point out was Brighton securing European football with their win over Southampton. Again, that win over Southampton isn't necessarily anything to praise yourself for, or like just because they're going down, they're finishing last in the league.
No, but still,
again, if you're securing European football, it doesn't really matter. You've done enough throughout the rest of the season.
De Zerbi is awesome. I love the way
he's definitely a Premier League Manager of the Year candidate.
And Ten Hag wasn't. Can we not talk? Can I talk about that for once?
Let's rant about that during tea. All right. Let's just keep us. We got a lot in this episode. We went like an hour and a half last week, so let's save that for tea. But you can definitely rant about that during tea. Just to keep us on track here, the other two games were the Newcastle-Leicester draw. Nick Pope is fantastic.
Yeah, it was a huge save.
That was an unbelievable save. And then the Brighton-Man City draw was interesting. I love how Man City can just roll out like their B team and beat Chelsea and draw with another European placing team. Yeah. It's just really, really scary. And then in terms of games to watch, just want to kind of list out like what these matchups are really quick. Brighton and Villa, very clear why that one's big. Villa need a positive result to give themselves a chance. As long as Tottenham do something against relegation right now, Leeds obviously needing something to stay up against Spurs. Everton versus Bournemouth, very clear. We kind of talked about that one a little bit. City play Brentford, doesn't really mean much. United play Fulham, doesn't mean much. And Chelsea play Newcastle, not a whole lot of impact. Arsenal, Wolves, Liverpool, Southampton, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, no impact there. But the final big one is Leicester, West Ham, which I think is actually going to be the most entertaining game of the weekend. I have a feeling that I think that one's going to end up being like a 4-3 type of game. Like I have a feeling that once one goal happens, and I feel like it's going to be West Ham, Leicester's going to have to really open up and go for the game. And I could see that one turning into a shootout. And we've seen Leicester in a couple shootouts this season, despite their less than desirable form. Any final comments before we go to Italy, Jeremy?
I think Jamie Vardy's going to play a hero in that Leicester. Like I think if Leicester want to have any chance, they need a lot. They need the most help out of the three. But the scenes if Jamie Vardy scores to keep Leicester up would be. I will tweet the "I'm just Jamie Vardy" video if that happens. So yeah.
I personally want to see James Madison do it as a parting gift to the club. But I 100% get where you're coming from there with Vardy. That would be, I can't deny that would be pretty sick. But okay, moving on to Italy. Napoli are champs. Lazio back up to second thanks to the Juventus 10-point penalty. So that's some big news there. Juventus getting dropped all the way to seventh. They are the lowest team in the standings, actually in contention for Europe still. So Lazio's in second on 68 points, 2 points above Inter, and 4 points above AC Milan, who sneaked back in. Atalanta's on 61 points in fifth, Roma 1 point back behind them in sixth, and Juventus further 1 point back in seventh. As I mentioned, nobody else in contention for Europe. Sampdoria is going down. Cremonese is going down. Verona's only 1 point behind Spezia and 3 points behind Lecce to possibly stay up. Everyone else is safe. So really winding down here to wrapping up everything there in Serie A. But in terms of results from the past week, a couple big ones. AC Milan with a 5-1 win over Sampdoria. And after the later Juventus news and their 4-1 loss to Empoli, that ends up pretty impactful for them in terms of getting them into the top four. Napoli, a 3-1 win over Inter. So that kind of slows down the string of positive results they were on in league. And then also seeing Lazio pick up a win. Lecce and Spezia, an interesting 0-0 draw that kind of kept things really close down towards that relegation battle. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got from the previous results. Jeremy, anything on any of those games and anything on the upcoming list that we have laid out in front of us?
I think, it was been just a tough week for Juventus. I mean, just dropping out of Europa and this 10-point penalty, just being a Juve fan right now is just kind of like in a tough place. However, in looking at a positive, I think AC Milan, after dropping their Milan derby semifinal and losing to Spezia on the road, they respond with a 5-1 win and they're back in top four, which is huge for the club. I can't picture the Champions League without both Milan clubs. I'm sorry. I can't. I think both of them are just so essential to the UEFA Champions League. Even though I haven't been there, my old roommate has at the San Siro. Even though the stadium is a dump, it's a legendary stadium, and you want that stadium to be played not only by one club, but for two. In terms of the games coming up, I mean, Juve Milan is, to me, a heavy hitter. However, I want to see what Roma does against Fiorentina. I want to see what Jose does. It's going to be a little bit conservative, maybe. I mean, they're still trying to fight for, lock up Europa. However, they get that automatic Champions League bid if they do win the Europa League. So we'll see what Jose does in the weeks coming up.
No, absolutely. I agree. Juventus Milan's going to be one to watch. I am also keeping my eye on Inter Atalanta because I just want to keep an eye on Inter's form going up before they play Chelsea. I'm not Chelsea. They suck. Man City. I don't know. I don't even know how Chelsea I could possibly have yeah, they do wish, and I'm very happy that they don't get that wish. But that Inter result, especially you're getting a red and losing 3-1 to Napoli, was a bit of a shocking one for them. And also they played a fairly tight game against Sassuolo. It was a 4-2 win, but seeing Sassuolo get a little more against them than you might have anticipated certainly made things interesting. But I don't really have anything else on Serie A. Let's go to Germany. Dortmund. I told you, Jeremy. I told you so. I told you, RB Leipzig, we're going to beat Bayern. I don't get a whole lot of told you so moments because you have a way better record in your and
I actually wanted Dortmund to win. I just said, I'm like, Bayern's just Bayern, and they're gonna but
sometimes it's the hope that kills you sometimes, but it didn't kill me this past week. Actually, it did because I believed in Tottenham, but oh well. So if they win, the title is theirs. Bayern will finish second unless Dortmund lose and they win. A draw will go towards Dortmund regardless, because they're 2 points clear. Leipzig are guaranteed third, and then you got to keep your eye on Union Berlin, who are tied on 59 points with Freiburg. And then Berlin have the tiebreaker, but they can't drop points, obviously. Leverkusen have 6th and Conference League, but need to win or have a Wolfsburg lost, who are on 49 points. Leverkusen's on 50. And in the past week, what we have seen was a 3-0 win for Dortmund over Augsburg. RB Leipzig with their 3-1 win over Bayern. Hoffenheim with a surprise 4-2 upset over Union Berlin. And Freiburg 2-0 over Wolfsburg. So you see a big hit there to Wolfsburg and Union Berlin's cases. Leverkusen sneaks an all-important point to separate themselves in 6th with a 2-2 draw, while still getting a red card, maintaining that and getting a point out of that against Mönchengladbach. Schalke and Frankfurt, a 2-2 draw. And Stuttgart and Mainz, 4-1 win there for Stuttgart. So hopeful for them in terms of their relegation battle at the very bottom there of the Bundesliga right now. Hertha going down, confirmed. So actually, I will say it is interesting in terms of the Bundesliga because they play the least amount of games in their actual calendar. It's only 34 versus 38. So this will be their final match week as well. Schalke on 31 points. They're 1 point behind the 16th place team, which is technically not clear because that 16th place team plays in a relegation playoff game against a Bundesliga 2 team, which I actually think is a pretty cool way to do it, if I'm being honest. So right now they're kind of waiting on Darmstadt and Heidenheim down there in Bundesliga 2. So that one could be very interesting. Obviously, VfB Stuttgart is tied on 32 points in 15th, so they'll be hoping for a positive result, of course. And upcoming this week, Bayern Mainz, very easy to understand why you want to watch that. Or Dortmund Mainz, Bayern Köln, RB Leipzig, Schalke, which is a very big one in terms of Schalke's relegation battle. Doesn't really affect Leipzig too much, so I could see Schalke get a positive result there because Leipzig are third. It doesn't really, nothing changes there. Union Berlin and Werder, Freiburg, Frankfurt. Those are the 2 games to watch as far as I'm concerned. As long as Dortmund lock up, obviously, and win against Mainz. Leverkusen play Bochum, Wolfsburg, Hertha, and nothing else really matters too much aside from the Hoffenheim Stuttgart game. So, Jeremy, what tickles your fancy on this slate?
Well, you know what I'm going to say. It's going to be Union Berlin. I mean, they take on Werder Bremen, who I think Union are a heavy favorite in this one. And with them being equal on points with Freiburg, I believe the goal differential at the table up right now. Goal differential is in favor of Union.
Berlin, it's 4 goals, correct?
It's 4 goals. So like they just need to match the result of Freiburg to then qualify for Champions League.
Or just win and not worry about it.
Yeah, win. I think that's all I need to do is just like play your game, win the game, and then you're going to Champions League. Berlin is back. I've always praised the city of Berlin. Berlin needs a Champions League. We have it in Munich. We have it in Dortmund. We need it back in Berlin. And with Hertha going down.
That's official too.
Yeah. And can they just swap stadiums? Like, can Union play in the Olympus Stadium? I don't get it. I don't get it, man. They're a big brother, but they're a loser. Union all the way. I think I might have found my Bundesliga club, maybe, who knows? But and also one more point.
Yep.
Remember when I said Everton going down? We kind of always saw Everton as like this middle table team.
Yeah,
that was Schalke too. Schalke in the 2000s, 2010s, even back in the 90s, world power. I'm not just talking German power. Yeah, Klaus Huntelaar. One of the most elite strikers of all time, one of the best FIFA cards too. So seeing these teams that you grew up with, that I grew up with, I didn't really watch a whole lot of Bundesliga, but I could watch Bayern games back in the day. It was really just Bayern, maybe Dortmund. Wolfsburg were a great team. They're kind of middle table too. But Schalke was one of them. And seeing them go down is just like it's the sign of the times. It's just these new clubs like Union, like a Freiburg, who are just taking over. Leverkusen's always been there too. I'll give them credit as well. But like a Freiburg, like a Union, they've really established their places in that top upper echelon of the league. And now you're seeing teams like Hertha and Schalke leave. Oh, the times are a-changing, as Bob Dylan would say.
Oh, absolutely. I still have to figure out who I want to root for in terms of the
I think it has to be
Bundesliga.
Union for me at this point.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm leaning towards Leverkusen, but I
Yeah.
don't really know. I would say it's probably Leverkusen or Leipzig. Eventually, I'll decide.
I mean,
Those are
I
probably
love
the.
Leipzig just because they're affiliated with the New York Red Bulls and
Hmm.
Salzburg
I
and
just have a feeling they're going to lose a lot of the players that I like on that
yeah.
team. So I don't want to like commit to that one quite yet until I see their off season here. Because
Well,
obviously
you know,
Nkunku's already gone. Gavardio very well could be out the door. So that'll be interesting. Keep an eye on there. But anyways, let's move on to a different country in La Liga. 2 match weeks lead for them. I do want to say was leading up to this was debating not even considering talking about La Liga because of how everything with Vinny, but they've actually done some positive things
mm,
in response to all of the stuff that Vinicius Juniors had to deal with. So they earned their slot back in the show. I was actually going to do a formal protest of the league if they didn't do anything, but they took some steps. A couple of them being 6 of the VAR refs that came up to that result getting let go, which is a big one, including the one that was officially in charge there. And also some punishments there on the other side for Valencia, seeing that some of their stadium having to be emptied and stuff like that. So actually seeing some action being taken by La Liga, and also just other players in the league stepping up, and Rafinha with what he put on the back of his shirt, and all that kind of stuff. So just some little things that maybe a positive direction, but Spain clearly has an issue. There's clearly an issue in Spain. So these type of steps need to start and continue. But that's enough of that. They've earned their spot in the show. So we'll continue there. Barca have won the league, unfortunately. Real Madrid will be second or third. Same with Atletico. There's just a single point separating the two in the final 2 games. So Real Sociedad need 2 points to secure Champions League. 1 point is hang on. I realized that I wrote this and my writing is just terrible apparently. So I need to just re-understand my English. They need 1 point. Villarreal also need 1 point to kind of secure things from Real Betis in fifth, I believe. If I understand what I. Oh wait. So okay, now I understand. Okay, hang on. I had my little brain fart. We're wrapping
okay.
things up here. So if Real Sociedad only get 1 point and Villarreal win out in their last 2 games, it's a draw. That's what I was trying to write to myself, and I clearly flubbed it. So I understand that now. Glad we could come to that conclusion. So Villarreal are guaranteed at least Europa. Real Betis need 1 point and an Athletic Club loss since they have a game in hand to clinch your Europa. And then seventh right now is Osasuna. So that's interesting for them. Not a club you really expected to see in the Conference League battle, but they're tied with Athletic Club and only 1 point above on Girona, only 1 point above on Sevilla, and only 3 points up on Mallorca. So and 4 points up on Rayo Vallecano. So there's a serious battle there for that Conference League spot. And then if you look at the relegation battle, things get interesting. We don't have to worry about 20th because that one's locked up. But in 19th, Espanyol on 35 points, Valladolid on 38 points in 18th, Cadiz and Getafe on 38 points, and then 39 points. What are we laughing about?
I love your pronunciations of the Spanish teams. Valladolid.
Is it not correct? Is it not correct?
I think it's just Valladolid.
I mean, it's the Americanized version,
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
Americanized. It's okay. I just like the way you say it. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I get an A for effort. Come on now.
Oh, you're good.
Hey,
You're good.
I've had to learn like I don't know 120 clubs in the last 3 years. Cut me
League
some
on, I
slack.
think is way worse. Oh,
Liga. Well, to be fair, I'm pronouncing some of those incorrectly on purpose now. Uh, but my point, relegation battle is very interesting. 2 match weeks left. A couple of teams tied on 38 points, which is the threshold right now at 18th. And then, you got a team on 39 points in Almeria. And then 40 points for both of Valencia and Celta Vigo. After the Valencia issue, kind of want to see them choke and go down, if I'm being very honest. But any comments here on any of the recent results? I've seen Barca fall 3-1 to the team who you consider my pronunciation of poor. And some other results, also seeing a loss there for Real Madrid against Valencia when Vinny got his red that was later redacted. He was allowed to play in their next game, etc. Jeremy, you take the floor.
The one result that really stood out to me was Betis, dropping to Getafe. Even though Getafe has always been one of those mid-table teams, Betis really can't afford to be dropping points right now. And it's at that point in the season where you want to just lock up any kind of European football you can get, any chance at 4. So with that being said, I mean, I feel like Spain and France have just been kind of like, nah, you know, like, and I hate to say that, but it's just kind of been true. Like I think the title race in Germany is way more entertaining. With and then in Italy with Juve dropping 10 points, it's like, okay, now who gets to go into the Champions League now? So with Spain, it's just kind of like, okay, Barca won the league. For me, it felt like weeks ago, but even though they just celebrated, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, if that. But again, if we can get into the upcoming matches, I think Atleti and Sociedad is, to me, that one has the most implications in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. Betis and Girona is one I'm keeping my eye on just because Girona's still got their hat in their ring for Conference League. Betis, obviously, a poor last result, and then they're still not locked in quite yet to Europa League. So keeping an eye on that one. But other than that, we could definitely move on to the Farmers League since PSG have wrapped up this league. When did the league start? Is that September?
Do they start later? Usually, because most of them start in August, no?
Yeah. We'll say since early fall, PSG have had the league wrapped up. So the battle, obviously now. I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not.
You're gonna tell me I'm wrong. So with 2 games left in the season, Lens on 78 points. Really seem pretty secure there in second as long as they get 1 point. They have the goal differential, so as long as they get 1 point, they're good. And then obviously Marseille, 73 points. They're safe as well now in third, so they'll be going to Europa League unless anything crazy happens with.
Well, they'll be going to Champions League qualifier, no?
Oh yeah, you're right. And then Europa League for no, actually, there's no Europa League group stage for Monaco in fourth currently. Every league does it so different, and then Ligue 1 gets the least amount of spots, so it kind of confuses me. Because they don't get a Europa or a Conference League guarantee. They have to go to the Conference League qualifiers, which is Lille right now, or Lille, as I'd say incorrectly on purpose. But in general, Marseille need Lens to draw points in their fixtures. Angers, Ajaccio, and Troyes. I don't know if any of those are pronounced correctly because I haven't talked about any of them, but
you're better than me, man.
Yeah, fair enough. This is why you have me do all the talking, so you just sit back and laugh at me as I mispronounce stuff. The battles between 16 and 17, Auxerre and Nantes down in 17th. Both have tough opponents this weekend, so we'll check in next week. But
yeah, because we still have a week left for the league.
Yeah, and since none of these results really blew me away.
They're there.
They happened.
They exist.
I honestly was way more tuned into the championship this past week. If I'm being honest, there are some much more exciting games.
Luton Town could be in the Prem next year. Can you believe that? Have you seen their stadium? They're connected to houses. They hold only 10,000 people. Wild.
That game too was crazy.
Yeah. Who do they take on in the playoff final? It's who is it? They took down Sunderland.
Coventry. Middlesbrough lost, right? Coventry beat Middlesbrough, right?
Yes. Yep. Coventry beat.
I was remembering that Middlesbrough lost, but I couldn't remember who beat them.
Sucked.
So really, two teams that you weren't expecting. I wanted Sunderland and Middlesbrough to face.
I wanted Sunderland, Middlesbrough now because I want Sunderland back in the league just because I want that rivalry with now the new Newcastle, right? Like the Saudi-owned Newcastle. And then Middlesbrough, Michael Carrick taking over, United legend, former assistant manager at United, now managing Middlesbrough. I think eventually, if Michael Carrick stays at the helm, I really do like Middlesbrough's chances of competing in another playoff because obviously the 3 teams in the Prem, I think, are going to come back up. But that's just my opinion. Maybe not.
I also want to say that I think Burnley are going to be very solid next season.
I think so too. They're new investments.
I think they're going to be around not quite top 10, but I think you're going to see them finish 12, 13, pretty respectable spot for a newly promoted team. So keep your eye out there. Now it's time for the award show, the first ever twosies here on the 90 plus 2 podcast. Jeremy, are you excited? Are we
Oh,
excited?
I believe I'm what the boys call buzzing. I'm buzzing.
Oh, he's buzzing. Okay.
The boys are buzzing.
Well, let's get right to it then. Let's not waste any time. First award of do you want to go bottom to top or top to bottom?
Let's go. Well, they never start with the biggest award, so let's go
But I will
bottom
say
to top.
I feel like the biggest award is the most obvious. So I feel like maybe we should.
Okay, then okay. You know what? You pick.
Oh, I want to have a debate, Jeremy. I want this to be a conversation.
Okay.
What's the right choice here?
Why don't we just start in the middle?
Oh, let's just do it random, like completely random. All right, biggest flop of the year. Let's go with that one first.
Okay.
Jeremy, who you got?
I have a Premier League team that United just defeated 4-1.
Yeah.
I have Chelsea. 12th in the Prem. The first time they have not finished in the top half of the Premier League since I think it was 1995, 1996. Wild.
They've only scored one more goal this season than Erling Haaland.
Whoa.
37 to 36 right now. It was tied before that Joe Felix last goal.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks a lot, David. Actually, no, it wasn't David's fault. David had a great game today. But yeah, you have them too.
Yeah, and that was like the easy choice. I feel like Spurs were close for me. I really did think about putting them there because they've been massively disappointing. But I can't say they've been more disappointing than Chelsea, especially after spending as much as they did. Okay, that one checked off. Congratulations, Chelsea, on being the biggest flop of the season. Good job. Proud of you. All right, next up, young player of the year. So I'll go first on this one. The obvious choice for this one, I feel like, is Erling Haaland. But he, surprise, surprise, is going to get a different award. So my choice here is Bukayo Saka.
I thought of him.
Yeah.
He's my runner-up.
So as much as it pains me to say as a Spurs fan, also, first of all, congratulations to him on inking a new deal, 4-year contract extension. So it's hard to root against him, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I know he's Arsenal. I know I should hate him. But he's fun to watch. He really is a really good player. And he's special, and he's really going to help propel Arsenal to a lot of success in the future. Both him and Odegaard are a real dynamic duo there for them. Martinelli, of course, as well. They have a lot of young talent, but he's really stood out this year with what he's been able to do. Slowed down a little bit towards the end of the season, but overall he's been spectacular, especially kind of in the grinding moments of this season. He's come through with some big performances. So it's Saka for me. How about you, Mr. Jeremy Striano?
Well, I wanted to split it up because a lot of my award winners are from the Premier League, I'll be honest. Some of them aren't, but this one I felt like I could give it to a non-Premier League player, and I did. And it's fitting because of what this player has gone through in the past week. I'm giving it to Vinny Jr. I love Vinny Jr. The way that you love Rodrigo, I love Vinny Jr. I think Vinny Jr. is going to be one of those faces you're going to see for years to come. He will be, dare I say it, wasn't he already on? He was never on the cover of a FIFA game. I think he will be on the cover. Maybe him and Rodrigo do a little duo cover. They've done it for NHL and Madden in the past. Maybe they get the future of Real Madrid. Maybe him, Rodrigo, and Jude Bellingham on the cover of FIFA 25, 6, 7, 8 down the line. But I know the stats aren't there. I know Bukayo had a better year in the Prem than Vinny had in La Liga, but I wanted to give him a award. He deserved to be on my short list. So my young player of the year, 22-year-old Vinicius Jr.
Alrighty, so that knocks off young player of the year. Jeremy, let's hear your manager of the year.
Well, I feel like this one's an obvious choice, but I will say I will give my runner-up to De Zerbi from Brighton was my manager of the year runner-up. But my manager of the year just made a cameo in Ted Lasso. It's going to be Pep Guardiola. I love Pep. I know he's the guy. They're going to do the treble. They are going to do the treble. I'm going to put it on the record right now. And when they do the treble, they're going to look back and you're going to say that this team, this 2022-23 Man City team, will be one of the best teams of all time. And it starts with a man who is a great tactician, a great manager, and who players just love. And I actually, even though I despise City with all my heart, seeing their celebration videos of like Pep singing Oasis in the locker room was like pretty cool. And he's really relatable and he gets along with the players. So I'm going to go with Pep Guardiola.
That's lame. It's a fair choice, but it's lame. My runner-up is Eddie Howe for
Love
Newcastle.
Eddie Howe.
I thought he was obviously done a very spectacular job. Did consider De Zerbi, but it's Spalletti. Come on, Spalletti. What he did at Napoli was incredible. Come on now. They were not expected to win. They have a lot of talent, yes, but they were far from expected to win, let alone in the dominant fashion they did. Would have loved to see them have more Champions League success, maybe in the Coppa Italia as well. But they brought a title to a city that really deserved it. They partied. Their party, I think, in celebration showed how much they cared, how much it meant to them. So I got to give it to him. He and what Napoli did were seriously special. Okay, that's the third award. Here we go. Shout out Fabrizio Romano. So now it's time for Player of the Year. I kind of want to get this one out of the way because it's very obvious. It's Erling Haaland. I don't know.
Erling Haaland.
Yeah. Yeah. He's. I mean, we mentioned him not too long ago. He's the same, like almost the same amount of goals as Chelsea in this entire season. He's. I mean, the best player on the best team. I mean, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. Although I think there's a lot of strikers, not a lot, but there are a few strikers who could give a not as potent, but a similar output to Haaland. You can't take away from what he's done this season. Like a lot of people would say, mainly me because I love Harry Kane. Like he would be better in that team for their overall success than Haaland because he's a little more versatile. But in general, you can't take away from what Erling Haaland has done this season, and he's way younger than Kane. He's doing this as a candidate for Young Player of the Year as well. He's been seriously special this season. So as much as I want to argue that Kane's the best striker in the entire world, but I can't after what we saw this season. I'm gonna still try, but you know, it's Erling Haaland this season. Jeremy, any comments on that, or should we move forward?
No, I mean he's just been one of the greatest players to watch this year. Oh, excuse me, turned into Peter Brady. But no, it's one of those like you hate to love, like you love to hate Erling Haaland, but you can't just deny how great of a striker he is.
It's a lot of people want to say tap in merchant, all that kind of stuff. If you score that much, you're doing something right. Come on, there's only so much you can say. But Jeremy, Game of the Year. I'm gonna go first on this one because mine's funny. Speaking of Man City, they beat this team that I really don't like 4-1 and more or less ruined their chances of winning the title. The bottlers of Arsenal lost 4-1 to Man City, and that was my Game of the Year, the one that brought me the most joy this season. Because there wasn't a whole lot to root for Tottenham. There wasn't a whole lot of memorable Champions League games, which I feel like most of like the Game of the Years typically come from. None of the title races ran down to games that were like head to head. So I kind of just resulted what game made me the happiest this season, and it was the Arsenal loss to City. How about you, Jeremy?
So mine also comes from the Premier League, but mine was a 3-3 draw in the second week of the season. I believe this was match week 2. And it comes on August 21st, 2022. And it was Man City Newcastle 3-3. This game had everything. It had 6 goals. It had an almost Kieran Trippier red card that then went to VAR and then got it reversed. 6 different goal scorers. 3. It started off with MLS legend, former Atlanta United beast, Miguel Almiron, and then ended with Bernardo Silva tying the game. I mean, it was just a great game. Like I could have picked like as a joke, I could have picked like the Brentford 4-0 game against Man U. Like, oh, that's funny. But I wanted like just an absolute, goal fest. When I think match of the year, I think there are a lot of good 0-0s. Believe me, people hate 0-0. I don't. Like it is what it is. If it's a goalie matchup, I love it. But when you think Game of the Year, you think like they score, the other team scores, and they score, and they score. So by definition, I'm going Man City, Newcastle.
Slightly different approach to this one. I was just trying to find a reason to smile, you know. There weren't many. But now it's time for 2 awards left. Surprise team of the year. Jeremy, let's hear it.
So my surprise team of the year, I actually changed my answer right now because I look at it from position from last season to this season in their leagues. My second runner up was Union. However, right now they finished in 5th and are now in 4th. So the surprise, maybe not so much there. My runner up, Brighton, going from 9th to 6th, from no European football to potentially, to at least Europa League football.
Yeah.
However, this team last year finished in 7th place and is now 1 point away from securing Champions League football. I'm going to the Farmers League, and I'm going with Lens. And I'm going with Lens as my surprise team of the year, finishing in 7th last season to now guaranteed 3rd place at least, more than likely 2nd place, finishing runner-up to Paris Saint-Germain. I'm going with Lens. I wanted to give the Farmers League some credit because we kind of rag on them all season long.
Because they deserve it. But I get where you're coming from. I do. I understand it. So my is going to be a little different, but for similar reasons. And it is going to be a team I already mentioned. It's Napoli. Napoli is my team of the season. I understand they finished 3rd last season, but the dominant fashion with which they went from finishing 3rd below both of these Milan sides to jumping over both of them and running away with the title. And for a while, until they ran into a couple injury issues and just slipped in form in general a little bit because they just didn't have a ton of depth, they seemed like a Champions League favorite for a little while. When the initial round of 16 came out, it seemed like they had a route that really set them up fairly favorably. Actually, not the round of 16. It was the quarterfinals once they set that up. It seemed like their path was the easiest. They just had to be the best Italian team and beat, what was it, Porto? Porto, the other team that was still left?
Yes.
So those were the 4 teams that were on the bottom. It seemed like it was that was kind of where they fumbled a little bit, but slip in form, some injuries, Osimhen was hurt, all that kind of stuff doesn't help. And they did need a little bit more depth for trying to win more than one title. But in general, I've just been thoroughly impressed with the squad they put together this season. So they have to be it. But now, Jeremy, I think this is the most fun one that we get to do. And it's because it's 4 different awards. So this is our forward, midfielder, defender, and goalkeeper of the year. If you were to make not a 5-a-side, but a 4-a-side team, what are we doing here? Do we want to do the whole team or go position by position?
Let's go position by position.
All right. Let's start with your goalkeeper of the year.
This person was really a crucial factor in this team. This team had a real poor start, but is now guaranteed European football. They're going to be playing in the Europa League next season. I'm going to Liverpool. I'm going Alisson Becker as my goalie of the year. I think he's the best goalie in the Prem when all said and done. No disrespect to Ederson or Ramsdale or David De Gea, who actually shot out David De Gea. He clinched a Golden Glove for the 2022-23 season. Big ups. Maybe he gets a contract extension. I don't know, because they always talk about rumors of David De Gea going away, but he's never going to go away. But no, Alisson Becker is the best goalie in the Prem. I love his team of the season card in FIFA 23, and he's my starting goalie on my ultimate team. And yeah, I think he was one of the big reasons. Obviously, they have a great attack. They have a real attractive attack with Mohamed Salah and obviously Bobby Firmino's swan song. He's going to be leaving the club, and Diogo Jota. Obviously, him fitting into that club as well. And then you have your back line, but that back line's been struggling. Virgil hasn't had the best of years. I know he's still a good defender, but he's not the Virgil that we once knew. So you need that goalie to kind of step up and make big saves. And they're the reason why they're back in Champions League. Now they just miss out. They just missed out on Champions League. They're going to contend again next season. Obviously, Klopp being the manager that he is, I think they're the favorites right now to win the Europa League with teams that are qualifying for Europa. Obviously, let's forget about the teams that'll fail
Champions
in
League
the
dropping, yeah.
Champions League dropping down. But the teams that are qualifying for Europa League right now, I think they're one of the key favorites. And Alison Becker, my goalie of the year. Who do you got?
Mine's Marc-Andre Ter. Come on.
Okay. Where are they?
They do not win the La Liga as comfortably. They probably still win if they have a decent goalkeeper, but he made a serious difference. Their goal, I don't remember what it was, but they had an incredible goal differential throughout the season. They were just very difficult to score on in general. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Yeah, their goal differential was 48 goals in the league this season, which is incredibly impressive for them. It's not quite City impressive, which was 62. Um, it's just a lot to process. I guess they are just really good. But in general, Barcelona have struggled at times to kind of score a lot of goals in sometimes and have dropped some results in general towards the tail end of the season. But I think his performances in general, this is a team that scored 66 goals and only allowed 18 goals this season. You don't do that without an incredible goalkeeper, and that's why he's my goalkeeper of the season. Just to kind of mix up the rhythm, I'll give my defender, and it is Kim Min-jae.
Yeah.
Incoming United center back. I had to go with him. He was very paramount to the success of Napoli. And in general, he's just a player I like, so I had to give him a little love there for his role in helping Napoli win the title, of course. But in general, there were a lot of center backs I was kind of considering. But in general, I also wanted to kind of avoid the Prem because I did a lot of Prem rewards. So it went with Kim Min-jae.
I also want to avoid the Prem on this one, and I wanted to give it to someone that I actually genuinely like. I didn't like him before because he played for a club that I really don't like, a team that's the biggest flop and hint. But now he plays for Real Madrid. I'm going with Antonio Rudiger for my defender of the year. I think he's a solid player. I just love the way he plays. He's just a big center back that's just no nonsense, no BS. Will just clear anything off his line. And yeah, obviously Madrid falling to Man City in the semifinal, losing the La Liga to Barcelona. But again, I'm just going off of defenders, and he's one of my favorites. So give a big shout out to Antonio Rudiger.
I feel like in general, Real Madrid's back line, they're all really good players, but both him and Milito every once in a while just make some shocking decisions. They are locked down like 99% of the time, but either one of them will just make the most questionable choice you've ever seen. Every 10 games it'll happen, but every once in a while. But fair choice. Let's go to the midfield. This one hurt me to choose, but it's fair. I went with Odegaard. The influence he's had in their midfield this season and the creativity he supplies, he's pulling strings. He reminds me, honestly, he played better than, I really saw it in terms of attacking midfielders, Bruno as one of my favorites and one that I really saw as the best one in the Prem. But the way that you saw Odegaard really step up this season, he was pulling strings for them on the attack, really providing a lot of creativity for them going forward. So I'm going to go with Odegaard as my midfielder of this season. How about you, Mr. Strana?
As a hockey player, as a former hockey player, I like to say that assists are just as good as goals. Going with Kevin De Bruyne. I was so close to picking Martin Odegaard. I think this one can go 1-2. Obviously, Odegaard finishing with 15 goals, 7 assists. KDB, 7 goals, 16 assists. So he just one more point than Odegaard, but you can put that away. It's the 16 assists that really stand out to me. When I tell you that this guy puts the ball on a literal silver platter, I haven't seen anyone do this like this in a long time. Now, there are a few midfielders out there that are really good playmakers and they can really establish the play. KDB, to me, I think is the best one at it. So he's my midi of the year. And yeah, it's just I despise picking City players, but I had to do it.
My forward of the year, it had to happen. It had to happen. Obviously, Haaland not winning another award, and I'm going to sincerely miss this guy because I have zero belief that he's coming back because Tottenham doesn't deserve him, and they're terrible. But he has been remarkable this season. And in all honesty, Tottenham could be in a relegation battle without him, with how bad they've been this season. They'd be worse than Chelsea by, I think, a significant margin if he wasn't on the team. He's pulled them out of quite a few holes. That free kick he scored last week was incredible. He's class. I still think is the best striker in the entire all of Europe and all of the world. You can make your arguments for Holland, for Lua. I don't really care. It's Kane. And it'll suck seeing him in a different kit next season, but in general, love Harry Kane, and he deserves to be recognized more than I think he's gotten recognized this season.
I'm going Kylian Mbappe. I know it's like the kind of chalk pick, but anytime you score, like again, I didn't go with Erling Haaland because of, he was our unanimous player of the year. But I know it's the Farmers League, but anytime you put up 28 goals in the league, to me, it's impressive. And again, he's the face right now. I think he is the face. He's the face on a video game every time we play. And I think he's just one of the most he's a fun player to watch. I love watching him, particularly for France, just because France is a really good team. And I love the way that he just controls. I feel like he's such an integral part of that starting 11, and he's so young. He's a young player, and they had players
already won a World Cup too.
Yeah, and you have players on that team like Hugo Lloris. I'm going to throw it out there, but like older players like Pogba, Ben Pavard, and Benzema and Griezmann. To me, the team revolves around Kylian Mbappe, and yeah, we know. I know. The Farmers League, we're never not going to call it the farm. Like it'll always be the Farmers League to us.
Or they could just, have more teams invest in their future. But that's a side point.
But Kylian Mbappe will always be, to me, one of the best players that I've seen, and he's my forward of the year.
And that has been the Tuesdays. Congratulations to all our winners. They're probably not going to hear this, but sick. Congratulations, guys. All right, time for a little bit of tea, just because we made an hour and a half episode, so we're trying to just say last week's just to try to say somewhat within the confines of that. So first up, Jose Mourinho has a lock screen of him on a throne holding trophies. Thought that was very funny. It's just the most Jose Mourinho thing you've ever seen. He also came out today and said that the only team that he's ever coached that he doesn't have love for is Spurs. So thanks, Jose. Speaking of Spurs, I'm convinced that they are a social experiment to test how much suffering people can withstand. I'm convinced. They did do one positive thing, and they didn't guarantee a contract for Eric Dyer, despite rumors. So that made me slightly crack a smile. But then again, Slot not coming to Tottenham. He's going to stay at Feyenoord. Tottenham still have no managerial option, and it has been vacant for quite a while now. Still have no director of football operations. I still don't think they have a coach of their women's team. I hate my club. So where do they go from here as far as a manager? Brandon Rodgers an option. Graham Potter's been an option. Postecoglou has been an option. Those are the three that I've seen floated around today since Slot has kind of pulled his name out of the hat. I still think they should go to Nagelsmann, apologize, and tell him he can pick his director of football and give him whatever he wants, because I still think he's the best choice. And especially if you're actually restarting and selling Kane, I think that's the best choice. But yeah, a lot of good buys over the past week and coming up this weekend for a lot of players kind of leaving, seeing it from Busquets, Bora, Miller. They kind of showed what they're doing to honor him. So a couple good buys there. Vinny's red, we talked about it a little bit, but good to see La Liga actually taking a little action. Terrible to see this stuff continuing to happen and come up, not only in the world of soccer, but our show. But finally seeing them take some action, but they got to, in general, figure it out. Alba, Jordi Alba announced his contract termination, 11 seasons, 18 trophies with Barca. So congratulations to him on a fantastic career with them, but he'll be moving on. And so will Barca. They need all the financial wiggle room they can figure out. Arsenal are targeting midfielder updates, so keep an eye on what they'll be doing with their midfield. They've been linked to a lot of different players. Obviously, Rice is one of them, but seeing even Gundogan and a bunch of other players like that, Kimmich. So keep your eye on them. Saka is his extension, which we talked about. And then finally, I think the most important one, another congratulations to Levante Johnson, who gets another short-term agreement for the semifinal against Pacific FC. So congratulations to him on, again, obviously a deserving player, a really easy guy to root for. So cool for that. Now it's time for a little Ted Lasso talk. I hated the last episode, Jeremy. I
wanted to rant.
I do owe you a rant. Go ahead.
You owe me a rant.
I owe you.
yeah, kind of BS that Eric Ten Hag did not get a Manager of the Year nominee. Now there are many great nominees there. I believe it's Arteta, it's Pep, De Serbi, Eddie Howe. I think is one, right?
Lampard. I had to.
I really thought you were serious. I was like, no. Yeah, I'm shocked. I really am. I think because of what he's done in 1 year. I know it's United. It's not like bringing Brighton up to European football. It's not Newcastle coming back finally because of funding from Saudi Arabia. He literally took this team that's under the control of, I don't even know what the word is to call this family. I really don't. I really want to be like polite, but just evil, maniacal people. And he took this team in 1 year and got them to Champions League football, got them a League Cup. He won this family, this evil family, a trophy, and has a chance to defeat their rivals for the FA Cup. How this doesn't get a Manager of the Year nominee is bonkers. Bonkers. Eric Ten Hag, if you're listening, hope you are. I love you. You're one of the best things that's happened to this club in the last, I don't know, this decade, definitely. But yeah, absolute snub. Now let's get into Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I can't believe Lampard did get a nomination. Crazy. All right, Ted Lasso. I hated the episode. Really did not enjoy it. I mean, like I enjoyed moments of it, but these last two episodes have been so rushed. So rushed. They covered 15 games in 2 episodes, and they're all wins. You can't show me like a slight bit more football. Like, come on. Come on.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I don't know. It's pretty annoying, pretty outrageous. But in terms of what actually, I mean, there's one episode left, and the last title shows it includes the name farewell in the title, so that really could be it for Ted Lasso. Even though I think they should have another season, I really don't think they should be in a title chase right now. I don't think this team before it's so unreal. Like it just became very unrealistic in the last couple episodes since they implemented total football. And I loved everything about this season until then. And then it just became so unrealistic in terms of just like 15 wins in a row after the form they were in and completely changing their identity is insane. Van Dam is goalkeeper of the season, apparently, with the performance he put in. That was ridiculous. He was a spider monkey in goal. Like, oh, dude, he was flying around in the goal. Like the saves he was making were outrageous.
Yeah.
Also, Jamie Tartt's going to score an unreal run in winner, or like not winner because they were up by 1, but like to make it 2-0. And you're not even going to show him put it in the back of the net.
Yeah. Shout out Sarah Brinsfield. We kind of said the same thing. Like we didn't see it go in.
Like, I just feel like there's been a lot of corners cut in the last 2 episodes. Yeah. I don't like it. What are Keely and Roy?
Friends that like each other still.
Why was Roy he was shirtless at the end of 2? Was he not?
Well, yeah, when Rebecca came over.
Yeah. The show makes
they definitely did it. Like they did the deed, and then there's just no title. You could definitely, I mean, it's obvious that they still love each other very much. Like the feelings are there. It's confusing, because them holding hands and God, another voice crack, man. I can't deal with these voice cracks.
It's tough.
They're holding hands on Jamie's bed. Jamie walking and be like, oh, it just kind of, yeah. But it's obvious now. Ted's going back to Kansas. Nate's coming in at the helm. The Beard monologue, though, was really impressive. I thought it was I liked that scene a lot because we never knew how Beard and Ted knew each other. And they were backup kicker and punter. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was good.
But yeah, I think Jade telling them to fire Nate from Taste of Athens is pretty funny. I actually like Jade as a character. just because she's no nonsense, and I like that in a partner. Um, Danny Rojas calling Ted's mom Mama Lasso is just the best. Getting the kebabs from Nate, but there's a lot of questions to be answered, and I doubt this is the last season. I doubt it. I
This is
doubt it.
so rushed, though. That's what I hated. Like, it realistically, if this is hypothetically the end, this could have been so easily done in like 2 more episodes. Just another, like, there's just so much more that could have been shown in the past, like, 15 match weeks that they just didn't show. I don't
Mhm.
know. It's just been irritating. And I also still hate Nate until he apologizes to Ted that he gets zero respect or credit for me in terms of like, I just like his storyline. I just don't like. And I understand the Rupert involvement and so why it didn't happen. But again, own it. Like, like at the end of the day, if you actually feel a certain way or like, just own it. Like, don't, if you have um, the gusto to stand up to Rupert and
Mm.
quit, then you should have the wherewithal and the ability to apologize to Ted, and it should have happened already. What were you
And
gonna say?
real quick, just before we move on, the last point I want to make. I really know what was I want to know what was said in that meeting between Rebecca, Bex, Rupert's, whatever she is, wife, girlfriend, baby mama, and then
X.
the assistant that he was fooling around with. That's what I want to know from next week.
I think that was the one storyline I was actually like happy that came up. I in general like the trip to Jamie's place or Jamie's mom's house with Roy and Keely was funny and it
Mm-hmm.
was interesting and
And then
Jamie
mama
clearly a
egg.
mama's boy.
Oh yeah, guilty.
I did hear a couple opinions from our friends at a new house where he was a little too, a little too close with his mom, and I can get that. But again, you have to look at the background with his dad,
Yeah,
and you can kind of understand why
nurturing.
he
Yep.
has that kind of relationship with
Mm-hmm.
his mom. And also, I did like to see his dad, you know, in
Oh,
getting
he was
help.
dead when he said
I
like,
did
"Oh, his dad would
too.
be proud." Yeah.
I did too. But I like that development as well. I think that was cool. But in general, the last 2 episodes, they had elements I like, but in general, just going, they're like rushing to the end of the season when there really isn't a reason to. Just 2 more episodes, like in this season, and you could probably have created an actual conclusion and made this the end if you're going to actually rush, them from going to literally just getting promoted in season 2 to a Premier League title. Like that's the most unrealistic thing possible. Especially because they didn't like purchase players. Like they got Zava for like a couple weeks, but that was really it. So in general, like there's just a lot of stuff that didn't make sense on the football side of stuff that bothered me. And
Mhm.
like they're pacing at the very end of this season. But any other final points here on Ted Lasso before we go to our fun finish? Or are we good?
No, I'm just really sad that this show's already ending. Like, we were looking forward to it for months now, and now we have to wait. Oh, we have to wait for a whole other season. Um,
What are we gonna talk about in this? Like, what are we gonna fill this segment with
I
now?
don't
We gotta
know.
figure something out. Are we gonna
We
start
have to
watching
watch it.
docu? We're gonna start watching documentaries now. I mean, we could do that. It
Oh,
could be a show. I'm saying we gotta find something to plug in here. So we'll have that discussion.
yeah.
But anyways, let's move on. All right, time for the fun finish. 6 segments to go, and then Jeremy's quote, of course, at the very end of the episode. So I will kick things off. I got the first three. My moment in history, again, I'm just trying to find reasons to smile because as a Spurs fan, there hasn't been a whole lot of reasons to smile. So, May 12th, 2022, Spurs 3, Arsenal nil. And this got Spurs into Champions League and helped them jump Arsenal, who ended up fumbling the 4th spot as they did the title this season. And I've been a sad Spurs fan since, but this moment made me happy. 2 goals for Kane and 1 for Sonny. Things were so good. We loved Antonio Conte and he loved us, but that didn't last very long. Okay, moving on. Here are my locks of the week. Dortmund to win the Bundesliga title over Mons. We're riding with Dortmund. AC Milan over Juventus. I think Juventus are just in the mud after that punishment that they received, the 10-point deduction. So I have AC Milan kind of carrying the momentum over the recent result, over Juventus, and Brighton over Villa because I need it to happen for Spurs to get Conference League football and just have a presence in Europe. So yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. Just because I would prefer Tottenham to have European football than not have European football because again we haven't won a title in anything, so the more chances you get, the better. Okay, now my 3 stars. Brian Mbuemo, 2 goals, 1 assist against Spurs for Brentford. So Good for him. Not fun for me, but good for him. Brahim Diaz, a goal and 2 assists for AC Milan against Sampdoria. And finally, I don't really know how to pronounce his first name. I'm gonna give it a chance. Andrej. It's like a J at the end of Andre instead. Like it's kind of confusing. Andrej Kramaric, 2 goals, 1 assist versus Union Berlin. It was a big upset there for Hoffenheim. But yeah, that's what we're going with. Yeah. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Alrighty. So my random footballer of the week is an absolute legend. You know him, you love him. He's the world's strongest footballer in terms of FIFA 23. And it is Adebayo Akinfenwa. This guy is an absolute tank. And there's really no other word to describe him. So just a bit about his career. So he started out his youth career in Watford. So he's from Islington in England. And he's a striker. So he started his youth career in Watford and then moved to FK Atlantis. Then moved over to Barry Town, Boston United, and finally cracking a little bit of relevancy with Leyton Orient. Then he played for a team for 2 years called Rushden and Diamonds. I thought that was a really cool name. Then Doncaster Rovers, then Torquay United, Swansea City. Whoa. Hit the back arrow by accident. Torquay United, Swansea City, Millwall, and then Northampton Town, where he scored 37 goals in 3 seasons. Then Gillingham, Northampton Town again for a second time. Then Gillingham again from 2013-2014. Then AFC Wimbledon, where he played there for 2014 to 2016. And then to end his career, he stayed put and played at Wycombe Wanderers from 2016 to 2022. Now, it does say that he made an appearance for Faversham Town in 2023, but he only made 2 appearances for this club. I didn't really get to do a whole lot of research on said club. I don't know if they were like a semi-pro team or whatnot, but Adebayo Akinfenwa is the legend of the week. Sammy St.Jean, are you ready?
I don't know. I suck at this sometimes, but I'm ready. We're ready.
Yep.
Spurs just make me feel like I'm a loser, so it's okay. I can win. I can do it. All right. First question. Are they a Bundesliga team?
No.
Son of a nutcracker. Where do you think we're going next? Is this team in Serie A?
No.
Liga?
No.
La Liga?
No.
Prem?
No.
You brought us the MLS. Oh, yeah.
Yes, we did. Because
that's
10th
not a question.
episode...
I didn't ask. I know.
No.
Okay,
No.
I was going to say.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying 10th episode. We haven't done them yet. You get 5. You get 5.
Dude, isn't there 29 teams? Jesus.
Oh, there's like 20. Yeah, something like that.
Is there blue in their badge?
There is.
Are they in the US or Canada? Or I can frame that as a yes or no question. Like, is the team in America?
No.
Okay, so it's a Canadian team. Okay, that helps. That's a good question. Big question. That actually kind of saved my chances, because if that wasn't in America, I'd be screwed. All right. So we've got San Jose, Vancouver. What are you laughing about? Oh, San Jose's not. I don't know why it's not San Jose. That was tough. All right. Oh, well, fair enough. That's fair to laugh at me for. All right. That was bad. Whoops. You didn't laugh. I would not have picked up on that too. Okay. Toronto, Montreal. Hey, we're good so far on that. Vancouver. I don't think there isn't any other, right? No?
I don't know.
I'm looking. Hang on. I'm not a huge. No, I'm riding with those 3 teams. How many questions do I have left?
3.
Is it Vancouver?
Yes, it is. In honor of Levante Johnson getting a senior call up. I thought Vancouver Whitecaps would be the perfect team
As soon
to
as you said there was blue in the badge, I kind of had a feeling like that's where it was going. And then when I asked about whether it was in America or Canada, that gave it away. But yeah. All right, cool. Glad I figured out. I was really worried when it was in the MLS. Whew, gave me a little bit of a heart attack there. But all right, Jeremy, bring us to the debate topic.
All right, so you actually, I'm going to be honest, you came up with this topic and I thought it was pretty interesting here. So the question is, if you could bring any team from outside of the top 5 leagues, so that's England, France, Spain, Germany, Italy. If you can bring any team outside of the top 5 leagues and put them in one of the 5 leagues to compete in that league domestically, but ignore the fact that they're from a completely different country, who would it be and where would you put them? Why?
Am I going first or are you going first?
Do you have one locked and loaded?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Celtic FC.
You son of a! You stole my answer. You
Dude,
stole my answer.
I didn't steal no answer. Their fans are elite, and them going to the Prem would be electric. Come on now.
Oh,
you can't. That's where I would put them. Mainly because it's like closest in relevance. It's kind of why I put them in the Prem because it would just make sense. Because it would I had a tough time like putting for example, like I considered maybe like Ajax or something like that and moving them to like maybe Germany or something, but like those were big jumps to other countries. I'm like Scotland, just over there to the Prem isn't that big of a jump, is this really stealing your energy here? Really? Hey, I asked if you wanted to go first.
No, we're good. We're good.
Do you want me to keep talking so you can figure out another option, or you just want to agree with me?
No, I'm gonna agree with you, but I'll let you keep talking. I just have other points. Like,
No. I mean, I don't want to make you sad because you seem very disappointed.
No, it's okay. I did not think you were gonna say Celtic. I know I was locked. As soon as you said it, I go, all right. I had it written down.
I'm gonna be honest, they were who I was thinking of when I suggested the idea.
Yeah.
They were the first team that came to my mind. I did consider Ajax was one team that I considered. I really think I considered anyone else really. It was really just those two clubs.
I thought about putting like Anderlecht and like the or like Club Brugge and Ligue 1 and kind of like competing for like, but it's just not as like it's
yeah. I feel like
it's not as attractive as Celtic in the Prem.
That's what I'm saying.
And Celtic Park just singing "You Never Walk Alone," and then when they play against Liverpool, it's the two clubs that use that song because there's rumors that Liverpool, even though Jerry and the Pacemakers are from Liverpool, there are rumors that Celtic had that song first as their club anthem. We don't really know. Obviously, Liverpool fans are going to say that they own the song, own it, whatever you want to interpret that. But I want to give a shout out to when I went to the city, I went to an Irish bar over in Midtown Manhattan. I want to give a shout out to Suzanne from O'Donoghue's, who my mom and I could tell right away. We're like, she's from Scotland. Like you can tell the brogue and the Irish accent are completely different, and you could tell when someone's from Scotland. And we were talking with her, and we asked like, and she said like, oh, I'm from Scotland or whatever. And we're like, where are you from? And she said Motherwell. And I go, oh, do you support Motherwell? She goes, hell no. I go, well, who do you support? And she's like, there's two top clubs. There are two top clubs in Scotland. You're in an Irish bar. Who do you think I root for? And I go, please say Celtic, because I kind of support Celtic just because, my family does. And she was just like, come on, you boys in green. And I was like, yes. I was like so happy. And so now we have a friend over at O'Donoghue's on 42nd. Shout out Suzanne, she's a real homie. She likes Iron Brew, which I think is disgusting. It's a Scottish soda. It's supposed to be like an orange soda. It tastes like it's bad. My dad like is like animated about it. He's like, this is the worst I've ever had, because he worked at a fish and chip shop back in the day. But my long-winded answer is also Scotland, is Celtic in the Prem.
Okay, random question before we wrap up. What do you think is the grossest, aside from the one you just said, worst like soda? the most disgusting soda you've ever had.
So I'm not a soda drinker.
Hmm.
I never, my parents never kept it. I mean, they used to drink soda. Like my dad will have a Diet Coke here and there, and they drank it a lot when I was young. But then, like, once I hit middle school, my mom was like anti soda. We're only keeping ginger ale in the house. That's the only really soda I drink and that I have. The grossest soda. Huh, man.
If you want to think for a sec, my answer is birch beer. I think birch beer is disgusting.
Ooh, people
Like,
like birch beer.
I know. I think it's like I took a sip of it once, and I've had it like in a mixed drink, and I can live
Oh,
with it. But I drank that stuff once, and it made me not actually. You know what was? Oh, what am I thinking of? There's something else that was really really bad that I'm blanking of. Oh, Moxie. Moxie's disgusting.
what's Moxie?
It's the old it's an orange can. It was something that Ted Williams used to be like the ad person for. It was a soda.
Okay.
Yeah, it was I found some while I was in high school at Deerfield, and it was disgusting, like repulsive. It was like
Mm.
if Dr. Pepper tasted disgusting, that's what it would taste
Oh, okay. This is a fun answer. This is to all my people that have been to Walt Disney World.
like. Hmm.
And if you've ever gone to Epcot and you've gone to the Coca-Cola, there's like a Coca-Cola center, like a shop in Epcot, and they do like sodas from around the world. And they have you try different sodas from like all over Asia and Europe and Africa. And I remember drinking Mozambique watermelon soda that was so good. That was the first one I had. But as a prank, my old friend from Queen of Peace Grammar School, shout out Mariana Ward, she's like, "Oh, when you go to the Coca-Cola, whatever it's called, I'm blanking on the name. She's like, you got to get Beverly. It's from Italy." And I go, "Okay." So I went, "All right, Beverly, cheers." Took a little small cup. Dude, this thing was so repulsive. I thought I was drinking like candle wax. I looked at the flavor profile on the um on Wikipedia. So Club Cool is what it's called in Epcot. It is a carbonated soft drink aperitif. So it's meant to like cleanse like your palate. It's like a palate cleanser, whatever. I think it's bogus, is what it is. Forget aperitif. It's a clear soda, and the flavor is bitter citrus. Yeah, no duh. There's an emphasis on bitter, and its main ingredient is grapefruit rind. So not even like grapefruit juice. It's the rind of a grapefruit, and it is bad. Like I can
Man's out here
still,
drinking lemon zest.
yeah. Oh god, I hate lemon zest too. I can pick up on lemon zest, put it in pasta. It'll ruin it for me. But yeah, Beverly is the most disgusting because I like Coke, I like Pepsi, I like cherry Coke, I like vanilla. Like I don't mind it. Mountain Dew, I'm okay with when I've had it. Like it's okay. Ginger ale, a cold ginger ale. The Strianos love a ginger ale. Canada Dry. It's got to be Canada Dry.
I'm a sucker
Um,
for a Shirley Temple, a little grenadine and some
yes,
ginger ale. Who I'll never throw
yeah.
out a
I
bad
mean,
bad chocolate milk. I'll drink till I'm in the grave. You know.
oh, dude, don't even get me started on chocolate milk. Chocolate milk. I make a good chocolate milk. I put two sources of chocolate in my chocolate milk. Hence why I look like this. But yeah.
Shut up, Jeremy. All right, let's get a quote. Come on now.
Okay, I mentioned it before. I took a quote from the monologue of Coach Beard to Nate, even though it's a scene that you really don't like, but I thought it was
I like
great
the scene.
acting.
I just hate Nate.
Yeah, I thought it was
Let's
great
defend
acting
that
for
because
Brendan Hunt.
I thought it was great. Again, I just really hate Nate. Okay, you're good. Go ahead.
I stole from my friend who forgave me and gave me a job and a life. So to honor that, I forgive you. I offer you a job, and the life part is up to you. Coach
Really good
Beard, man.
quote. Really good quote.
Renaissance man. That is the definition of a Renaissance man. Is Coach Beard. We'll never know his first name. I don't even know if he has a first name.
I'm gonna Google that very quick before we end this episode.
Yeah, I've always been like, because it's just Beard. It's, I mean, his name is Brendan Hunt, the actor that plays him. But if someone has a bogus answer, like
I don't see it. There's no immediate answer.
no, like we just don't. He's just Coach Beard. He's just Beard.
Yeah, interesting.
Or
Okay.
as Donnie Lasso calls him, Beardo Weirdo. And then he calls her Lottie Dottie, we like to party, you know. That was good. I
Also,
like that.
final note, we'll say that Ted interaction with his mom when he came back was pretty good. I will say that was we didn't touch on that. That was pretty good.
So I saw with a mutual friend of ours, shout out Brinzer, as I call her, Sarah Brinsfield. And
Tallest person I know.
and
Dude, I've seen her dunk before. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, she has dunked. That's there's a video. But we were watching it together, and I've told her before, like, yeah, I cried a couple episodes, and and she goes, yeah, whatever. Like, I have too. And we were watching it, and it was pretty like an upbeat episode, kinda. Obviously, Jamie crying. Jamie's an ugly crier. Ugly crier.
Yeah.
So bad. So bad by Phil Dunster. When that scene, when he came home to his mom cooking dinner and he was just like, F you, blah, 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 F you, blah, blah, blah. I kind of stopped because, like, obviously, like, I think of the relationship with my mom as like, it's, I love my mom. We have a great relationship. Don't know if I'm as close like Jamie is to his mom, but that's a whole other.
Yeah.
I am a mama's boy, and she'll reiterate that, and she'll prove it. But that scene with his mom, I kind of stopped, and I kind of like started like kind of taking a deep breath, and she's like, I thought I was gonna lose you there. I go, it was close. I was close. But yeah, there was some. I get the whole like negative outlook of season 3 by like viewers and critics in general, comparing it to seasons 1 and 2. But there was some great acting in this series. Great acting. And 2 of them are Brendan and Jason Sudeikis. And hits you right here. But
yeah,
we have one more left. We have one more left, and I can't believe it.
Yeah. That pacing in the last 2 episodes killed me. But oh well, we've kept people here long enough. That was the 90+2 podcast. I'm Sammy St.Jean. That is Jeremy Striano. And this is the crossroads between pundits and fans. We're aspiring soccer journalists who have a love of the game. And this is our starting point. That was episode 10, officially into the double digits. We don't have another milestone until 50 or 100. I don't know.
20, 25.
Yeah, but it's like not.
It's not. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, but oh well. That was it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And we will see you next week.